Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm excited to show you the Willow collection of papers and embellishments from our friends at 49 and Market. Let's take a closer look, and we can start with our paper pack. So I'll move aside our embellishments just for now, and we can flip through here. So here you have 18 double-sided pattern papers measuring 6 by 8 inches. There are 3 each of 6 different designs, and you also have 2 extra patterns on the inside of the front and back cover sheets. So I'll flip through and you can see these are beautifully layered and collaged. I absolutely love this color palette in the shades of light and dark green. I think this is just such a versatile and useful color palette and useful designs too. I think these can go for so many different themes. Here we've got a nice basic background, and then on the other side here, beautiful coordinating border pieces. And then this is one of your bonus sheets that's on the inside back cover. So there's just a lot to play with in this collection with the pattern papers. And again, there are 18 double-sided sheets in here. Then to go along, we've got the Willow Mini Laser Cut Elements. Here you have 4 sheets measuring 6 by 8 inches to give you 108 embellishments. You can see them all on the front cover, and when I flip over the cover, you can see that there are some bonus cutouts right here too. Lots of straight lines, making that easy to cut out and incorporate into your project. And then for the laser cuts, you can see here, these are all punch out elements. They just pop right out of that backing sheet. You've got some gorgeous botanicals in here. You also have some nice lace borders, and you have some frames and some additional accessory items on here too, as well as words and sentiments. So there's a lot to play with in here. Then we've also got some rub-ons. So there's a set with 3 6 by 12 inch sheets with gorgeous collage style images, plus words and sentiments. So let's take a look here. There you can see some of those beautiful words and sentiments, some background elements, some borders on here too, as well as your botanicals and your butterflies. And then on the back cover, you also have this section here of collage art, which I think you could easily put to use on your projects too. Then finally, we have a set of 60 acetate embellishments. And I'll flip the package over so you can see the images. You'll have 2 of each design. Now these are fabulous for adding some extra dimension and texture to your projects. I just pulled out a couple of them and used a glue stick to apply them to some white cardstock. I wanted you to be able to see the variety of styles and sizes of these elements here. These are a lot of fun to include in your projects, and we'll talk about how you can do that. So as you can see, everything here is designed to coordinate perfectly, making it really easy to create beautiful and unique cards and other paper crafts. I'm really glad you're here today, and I am so excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Our first project features a beautiful large acetate focal, and when I angle my card, I think you can see the shine there. I love how the elements in today's webisode collection make it so easy to add depth and dimension to your card without adding a lot of bulk, and this is great if you mail your cards. So I have a lot of layers going on here, and we can start with the 2 pattern papers in the background. I've got 2 sheets, the darker background sheet here, and then this lighter collage pattern. I really like having the contrast between the 2 and how they also contrast with the white card base. So I've trimmed these down slightly smaller than the front of my plain white card and then glued those down, and I really like that this creates a nice frame around there and helps to spotlight and center all of the other elements I have going on here. Then again, I've got my rub-on going along the side and the top. Now, rub-ons are really easy to apply, and you can simply use a bone folder for this. I've got one on hand here, and I'll demonstrate this. I know I've shared this with you many times before. It's always good to have a little refresher. And also, just yesterday, I learned another rub-on trick from Paper Wisher Beverly. And she shared a tip that I will demonstrate with another card today. So at the end of today's webisode, you will have two different options for applying your rub-ons. So let's start with the conventional way, the way I've always done it. Simply place your rub-on onto your background paper. It can be pattern paper, can also be plain. And I'm going to fold up a little corner of this so I have kind of a handle to grab onto. I'll smooth this down really firmly with my finger and then take my bone folder, and I'm using the angled portion of the tip here, and I'm going to gently but firmly burnish this in place. Now with butterflies, I always have to come in and make sure I get the antenna on here, any detail areas around the outside of the wings, and then just make sure that this has all been burnished quite thoroughly. And then what I'll do, grab onto this folded over piece, and I'm going to slowly pull this back and just make sure that I've got that completely transferred. Now, if I started to lift this and I realized that a portion of it had not been transferred, I can just lay it back in place and go back with that bone folder again and make sure that everything is ready to go. But you can see how gorgeous that is. It works beautifully with pattern paper, as you can see here, and I just love how all of these elements coordinate. So that's one way to apply your rub-on, and we'll take a look at Beverly's tip in a couple of minutes. And now you can see I've got the geometric border here. I've got this kind of grid pattern rub-on, which is really subtle and kind of fades into the background, but I needed to have some extra pattern up here just to balance things out, and so that worked really nicely. And then on top, I've got my acetate piece. Now, questions always come up with acetate, how to glue it down without glue showing through. And my tip is the glue stick. So this is what I use for my acetate pieces. And I'll just bring in this other piece of pattern paper. And as you can see here, when I place this down, you've got some dark elements here with those leaves. You've also got some open areas that are totally transparent within these kind of intersections. And so what I want to do is make sure when I'm applying my glue that I'm applying it mostly in the darker areas. And also keeping in mind, you don't need a lot of glue. A little bit will do it, and you don't need to coat the whole thing. So just in those elements there, and then lift this up and flip it over and position that in place. Press it down, make sure it's really well adhered, and then let that glue dry and you're ready to go. And you don't have to worry about having glue showing around the outside edges there. So that's what I've done here to glue this right down. I've also, a couple of other things with this card front, I've also added a little bit of shading around the outside edge of this lighter collage pattern, and I'm using my go-to grayish ink, so just edged around there. And then I've also added this little paper clip. Now these are one of the laser cuts, and you can see I've got a variety there, some with words and some just plain. And they can hook right onto your paper, your cardstock, like this. So you could have them looking like this, as I've done here. You can also have them going the other way, which is nice if you want those little words to show on there. So you have some options there. Then I've got my laser cut sentiment down at the bottom. I've popped that up with some foam tape. For the card inside, I've got some more pattern paper, cut slightly smaller than the inside of the card, also inked with grayish. And then I added the laser cut flower here and a dragonfly and a butterfly. Now for intricate laser cut pieces like this, I use my Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. This is from Creative Expressions. This is a white glue that dries clear, and I keep some of it in my Crafter's Companion bottle. It has a precision tip that makes it really easy to apply and minimizes the mess. So let me show you here with one of these beautiful, very intricate pieces. Oops, I'm going to flip this over. And then I just need a little bit. You can see how that precision tip makes it so easy to get just the right amount of glue on here in the right places. Handle it carefully and then just tap that down. So that's my trick with our beautiful and very intricate elements with those laser cuts, and it just works perfectly. So that's going to keep that in place. It's what I've used for the floral and also my little winged things here. And then I've got some foam tape adding on my ephemera message for the inside. This card also features an acetate focal, slightly smaller one, and in this case I've just glued it right onto plain white cardstock. And then on top I have my Sending Smiles Dazzle message, which is from the Sending Smiles Dazzles sticker set, one that I use a lot. It's a really nice card message. It goes for a lot of different themes. And you can see from the sheet here that you've got lots of different styles, lots of different font styles. You've got 4 sheets in the set. This is the silver. There's also gold, white, and black. So a great go-to for all different card themes. Of course, I'm also using my go-to circles dies, and just as a reminder, I am a real crafter, which is why this looks really well loved in this packaging. I use these dies all the time. You've got 12 in here, circle and scalloped, and they just work beautifully for card focals. So that's what I've got here. I've got my main focal just cut from white cardstock, and then the nested scallop is cut from dark green. And this is popped up with some foam tape onto this gorgeous patterned paper. Have a look. This is what the whole sheet looks like. Absolutely stunning. And I've layered that with a darker green, also from the set. And I've nested the two of them together here, leaving a little bit of a border, but you can play with the border widths of this too. So if you want to make it a little bit bigger or you want to make it even a little bit narrower, there is so much that you can do, and I just love how these coordinate so easily. So I've got those two added in. I've also got some little butterfly rub-ons, just kind of one down at the bottom and one up here at the top. I have a jute twine bow. That's my final accent piece, and this is another item that I never put away. So I've got a bag of my jute twine. This is from hot off the press. You can see you got lots of different colors in here, including a nice bright green, which I thought about using, but then it eventually went with the dark green in the end. So I've just tied a little bow there and used my Crafter's Companion glue and that precision tip to glue that bow in place. Now the real fun for this card comes when I open it up, and this is thanks to the inside surprise card die, which gives us this mechanism, this really fun pop-up effect. So let's take a look here. I'm going to move my card out of the way and we can take a look at the die and how that works. So you've got 3 metal pieces in here. You've got your label base, your label, and then the surprise mechanism here. Of course, hot off the press always gives you project idea, and then on the back you've got some written instructions, and hooray, you've got your diagrams on here, which will make it really, really easy to do. So I've got everything die cut, and we can take a look at the process here. Get all of my parts and pieces together. So here you've got the label and the nesting label so that you can layer those two together. And then also you've got your surprise mechanism here. So what you'll do is simply cut your pieces from whatever paper or cardstock you want to work with. There's the label, and then this mechanism here is going to have some folds in it. As you can see, you're just going to follow the diagram to fold those elements up. Here's also where a bone folder comes in handy so that you can really make sure to crease that down. And then you're going to measure and glue. So let's move these out of the way. And you can see my step piece here. So we're working with the inside of the card. And what you'll do is measure 1.5 inches from the top of the card. Now this is of course on the packaging, so you don't have to take notes as I'm describing this. So measure down 1.5 inches, and you're going to align this straight edge with a bottom of 1.5 inches, and then also align it with the fold of the card so that you're able to close the card. And what I like to do is use some extra sticky tape to glue that down. And then what you'll do is add some more extra sticky tape or your adhesive on this flap, and you're going to position that like so. And then that way, when that's glued down, this will fold together. You can see how that goes. I really found it easier for me personally to make sure to glue this portion down first and then work with this side flap and kind of angle that around and make sure that that's in place. And then, let me show you on this one, then you've got your mechanism that opens like so. And again, all of these instructions are of course on the packaging. It makes a really fun and kind of a playful effect here too, and I think it just works beautifully with our various card elements here. So for my card inside, I first added this patterned paper to the inside, again cut slightly smaller and also inked with grayish. And then I've got this focal piece here which has been die cut, of course those two labels nested together, and then I also have another one of the scalloped circles. I have a laser cut element here, and I've got this little sentiment popped up. Then down at the bottom, I've got a rub-on and another sentiment here. So then when the card closes, it's going to close like this. Now, one little tip just to share with you, when you're creating your surprise focal element, do make sure it doesn't extend past the bottom of this, because then of course it won't fold up so nicely. I had grand plans for something kind of overlapping and coming out from the bottom, and of course that wasn't going to work. But this works beautifully with one of the smaller elements on here. Just works so nicely, and I think gives a very pretty finishing effect to this card. For this card, I've made a floral die cut focal incorporating some rub-ons, and this is where I want to share a tip that we got from Beverly, who watches our webisodes. And Paulette and I were emailing, and she passed on Beverly's tip when I was working on the projects for this webisode. And so I said, oh, that's a great idea. I'll give it a try, and it turns out to be a fantastic technique. So here's what Beverly wrote to us. She said she learned a new way to apply rub-ons using a die cutting machine. And she said, I used the same sandwich I would use for die cutting to apply a rub-on to paper. So just apply your rub-on, or place your rub-on onto your paper. So for example, like this one, simply place this down and then place your top plate on top and run it through the die cutting machine. She said she made 2 passes and it was absolutely perfect. Well, I decided to give it a try and it worked beautifully. Now I thought too, why don't I incorporate in my actual die? So by placing the rub-on onto my piece of paper, cardstock, and then take a die, place that down, use my hunky-dory low-tack tape, secure that in place like so, run it through my die cutting machine, and then voila, you can do both the rub-on and the die cutting at the same time. So this is one piece that I have done that exact process with. So I'll pop off my die here and pop out my floral piece, and then pull off that top layer, that plastic layer. And there you can see I've got my rub-on applied to my paper, and it's been die cut into my flower shape. So thank you so much, Beverly. What a fantastic tip. And I think this is also really great if you have any issues with your hands. arthritis, for example, anything that makes it difficult or painful to use the bone folder method. So this would be a really nice shortcut for that. So thank you, Beverly. Great idea and really creative way of looking at applying rub-ons in a different way. Now the dies that I'm using here are from the Bigger Bloom set, and this is one that Paulette told me is in limited stock over at Paper Wishes. But you've got 4 flower shapes in here, these 2, and then of course the 2 I demoed with for you earlier. And this just creates a really nice layered effect here. So I've done 1 layer with the rub-on, 1 layer that's just plain white, and then I've also incorporated the acetate leaves and some of the laser cut leaves here. And I've got the center, which is a gold diamond sparkle adhesive from Hunky Dory, and that's just right in the middle. And then another touch of gold here is this Smile die cut. This is from the Little Words, also from Paper Wishes, Little Words die set. So of course you've got lots of different words on here. And the Smile is one that I cut from the Champagne cardstock, glitter cardstock. And of course, to glue this down, I'd recommend once again using that precision tip applicator, and that's what I've used to adhere this to the front of the card, overlapping that acetate leaf on there. And then this floral portion is popped up on some foam tape. And I've got this gorgeous combination of patterned papers for the card front. And then for my card inside, I have a piece of the patterned paper. I have a laser cut lace border and a little bit of an ephemera collage to finish it off. A circular step card design is a really fun way to finish off the projects in today's webisode, and it also happens to be one of my favorite shaped cards to make. I just think these are so much fun and also really easy to do. So of course I'm working with a die. And this is just 1 die piece that's going to give you that outside shape and also your cut and your score lines on there. Of course, the diagram and instructions and project idea are on the back here to make it simple, but let me show you how easy this is to fold up. So once you've die cut your shape from cardstock or paper, it'll look like this. This is where you have your mountain folds, and here you've got your valley folds. You can have a look on the package and it will show you exactly where those need to go. This is also where a bone folder once again comes in really handy so that you can score those lines and make sure you have a nice crisp fold, and then you are ready to decorate this however you want to do so. Now with my card, I've got this area here, which is what I've filled with my focal element, but I also like to decorate the rest of this piece too. And in this case, I'm using a bit of the laser cut lace as a border and just aligning that here. Now you could have it go this way, you could have it go the other way if you wanted to, so you've got some options there. Now, one thing when gluing something as intricate as this, and with all of those little teeny tiny holes on there, I have another glue suggestion for you, and this is the sticky specks. So these are micro dots of adhesive. They come on some large sheets. They're an A4 size, so a little bit bigger than 8.5 by 11. And what I will do is cut pieces of it off. So in this case, I've just trimmed off a bit of a border. You can get a lot of mileage from just one little strip like this. And so what you've got here is this yellow piece has your micro dots of adhesive. This is your liner piece. So what I'll do is simply take my laser cut, place this down and put the liner on top, smooth that down, and then you can lift this off. And you have those micro dots of adhesive that have been applied here. And then you can position this down. Now, of course, I do the whole strip, but you can see how nicely that adheres. Quick, easy, and no mess. And then hang on to this because you can keep using it and using it until all of those micro dots are completely used. And so that's what I've done to add the laser cut lace along the bottom edge here of this folded area. And then for my focal, I have a laser cut border, which is this piece, this frame here, popped up with some foam tape, and then I've got some lightly patterned paper behind. And I love how this creates a frame for this large acetate piece, which is kind of tucked, the bottom of it is just tucked in there. Now the frame has been added to this pattern paper with some foam tape. So I've got, again, a bit of a shadow box effect. And I've added the happy day sentiment there with some foam tape. Then for my card inside, I've got another little snippet of a rub-on border. I've got some more of that laser lace. And then I have a rub-on sentiment here with an acetate dragonfly overlapping to finish off my card project. And that is our final project of the day today. A big thank you to our friends at 49 and Market for today's collection. It has been a lot of fun to work with. And another big thank you to our paper wisher, Beverly, for sharing her rub-on tips with us today. And I hope you find that useful as well. And a special thanks to you for joining me today. We're really glad you're here, and we're happy you're a part of the Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. And we've also bundled them together in a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It does help people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.